Hi, everyone. My name is Bridget Swain, and I am doing my research topic on play and parent child relationships. I was really hoping I would get this topic because play and the power of play with a parent and child relationship is the foundation of what I use in my education practice. I absolutely have a big heart and I voice so much of my beliefs in play and the power of that opportunity for a parent and child to have. I have seen the power of it between myself as an educator and teacher with my students. So I wanted to kind of give a little bit of my inspiration to this topic on this page. As you will see pictures of me and my students, both in my classroom setting and my dance setting. And the picture in the middle is my youngest brother, who inspired me to go back to school to be a child life specialist throughout his battle with cancer. And the play that we were able to do within a hospital room is what I believe gave him our miracle of surviving and thriving today. So with my first research article that I have found, this one made me kind of question, so does time together and play improve a relationship between a parent and child? Absolutely. And I say this because with confidence, as I've seen what play offers for these children to understand, explore, and become fascinated with everything and everyone around them. So when a parent takes that opportunity to get on their level and play with them and open their imaginations, the bond is endless. So I loved what Bircher and Gersh in 2014 looked at. They used the Time Together Home Visiting Intervention. It was developed in 2002 by Somerset Education Psychology Service, and it was actually in the UK, which I thought was fascinating. So the Time Together intervention, they wanted to focus on the parent-child relationships, and their goal was to enhance the quality of attachment through those play activities. It was a home-based intervention that used different play experiences to help the parent better understand their child and form that bond through activities that they provided. So there were 7 parents with the children in early ages that were identified as either being socially isolated or having a hard time relating with their children and forming that bond. So the method that was used within those 7 parents, they were randomly selected from a list of parents that had taken any inquiry or opportunity within the Time Together intervention in the past. And they were, once they agreed to take part in this amazing opportunity, they had a semi-structured interview that was recorded that completed a one-on-one basis within that parent's home, which I loved. So this was not in a laboratory environment. This was within their home. And along with them came an educational psychologist that worked one-on-one with the parent to give them the confidence that they needed to participate. And they provided the different play activities and kind of watched to see what would happen from there. So the children that were involved with this were all under the age of 5. And throughout the interview, different questions were asked of the parents of just what their experiences were as a parent, what were the pressures they were feeling and the experiences they were feeling with that time together with their children. And then they also interviewed after the interventions took place to see how that helped and what they felt that they took from that experience. So based on that and with the results, the parents expressed an amazing change in their notion of self and acknowledging the pressures that they felt as parents and the misunderstanding that they had for what play could offer for their relationship with their children. It also gave them the opportunity to feel supported by the home visit psychologist to find ways to play. You know, some parents aren't educated on that and don't know how to get down on their knees and play because there's too much, I think, pressure on that when it's so simple just to have fun with them and let that child lead that activity. And they were able to learn through their children's eyes by kind of becoming a kid again and releasing the stress of their day to find emotional connection that they didn't know they could experience with their children. So they were very thrilled with that opportunity and felt that they, with that support, were able to feel confident in continuing to offer different play opportunities with their child within their home. So I really loved this one because it showed a very different kind of research outside of that laboratory experience, and also gave the researchers what they wanted and gave these amazing families education and opportunity. So my second research article was inspired by the fact that there is little known on how children's expressions of positive emotion are seen in an uncontrolled setting of daily life within parent and child relationships, and especially with the school-age children. A lot of research with play is done on that preschool age because unfortunately, our society tends to think that's where play is, and it stops come first grade and up. But that's so false. And if anything, we need more research in that school age environment so that we can continue to push the need that these children need play. Adults need play. So this research kind of came in with the research question of, can a child's positive emotion be captured in research during a play interaction with a caregiver? And this gave me that answer as to yes, it can. And so through this research, they did a study and it looked at a more of a naturalistic approach while examining 3 different behaviors in the family, including positive emotion, touch, and play or leisure activities. And they used children from ages 8 to 12 as they experienced these spontaneous expressions of positive emotion throughout their daily life. So the method of this, they did recordings that were taken of 31 different families and communities over 2 weekend days and 2 weekdays for a total of over 50 hours of recording per family, which is so fascinating. And the families were screened for moments of when the children were spontaneously expressing these positive emotions through interactions with their parents. And what was really neat is that they used cameras, one on the father and one on the mother, because they also wanted to look into the research of if there was a different interaction with these children through play between the father and the mother, and if it had a different effect on the child's emotion. And so they were able to use the 2 weekdays they did before school and work time, and then once they returned home. And then on the weekends, they did Saturday mornings and the full day Sunday into the evening to kind of get different times of the day and different parts of the family to kind of make sure they were getting all the opportunities they could. And they also had a target child, which meant that they wanted the children to be between the age of 10 and 12 that they looked at. Even though some of the families had multiple children of different ages, they kind of picked one target child within that age group to still focus on that school age years. And so what was really neat is there was over 1,600 hours of video observation for every segment of video from the mother and the father within each home. And this, they were able to then give a trained team of students actually that were decoders, and they were able to go through the research and decode everything to give them the ideas of what different emotions that were being expressed with these children. Then it was given to another set of trained teams that were then kind of taking the numbers and adding the data into things to kind of see how many times this was happening in a day, with what parent, what effect it had on the child, and what effect it had on the parent, which to me, the results of that were the most fascinating because the parents also had a different reaction as well as the children did when they were able to connect with one another through play and having that intimate time together. So the average targeted child that was engaged with that activity with the parent was in about a third of all the clips, which is pretty good. I would have loved to have seen that number to be a little bit higher, but I think unfortunately in today's society, there's just not enough time in the day. But what was really fascinating is through that result of that positive emotion, it promoted this social connectedness over the time that they were able to connect. Even just in those 2 days, they noticed that the higher numbers of that expression that were seen between the parent and the child were causing more bonding to happen when they were experiencing those moments of play together. And what I loved is that the parents seemed to respond better with the children. When the children were having that positive emotion expression, it caused the parents to want to have that as well, which of course that makes so much sense. And what that opportunity came from was play. And that's what I love. And that it's not just what children will come and get out of play, it's what parents can as well. So my final piece that I wanted to take a look at, I unfortunately was not able to find a whole lot of research on the effects of play on the relationship. There was a couple different avenues that went into, and this one really caught my eye because it kind of made me wonder if the social economic environment would change that value and importance of play between the parent and child. So within this one, Smith, Stagnity, Lewis, and Pepin in 2015 did a study because they were finding that there was missing pieces of research for parent views and attitudes of their role as a parent and the view of that play within their children based on the eyes of a poverty-stricken parent. So this took a view from a different environment. So they interviewed 13 mothers of preschool-age children that were in the lowest of the 19th percentile of the poverty-stricken sociostatus in Australia, which I thought was also kind of fun, kind of looking all over the world here. And this was a qualitative study that used semi-structured interviews to conduct, and then they analyzed it with a team. And throughout the interviews, there was a lot of common themes. And the biggest part of that common theme was that the parents felt that the value of play was wonderful and necessary for their child's development. However, it was not their responsibility to provide it. They felt that play is something they did at school or could do on their own or could do with their siblings, but it wasn't something that they needed to do. One of the quotes I loved from one of the questions is the interviewer had asked a couple of the parents, do you play pretend and dress up with your children? And most of them literally were laughing out loud in disbelief of the question and saying that absolutely not. If anything, maybe you would find the husbands on the floor kind of wrestling and playing tumble play. But other than that, no. And this broke my heart because when I, as an educator, and I watch my students play in my classroom, I can honestly tell you anything you need to know about that family before even meeting them just by watching them play. And I think these parents would learn a lot from their children by playing with them. And so as these different questions were asked, the interviewers were kind of starting to get an idea of what the theme of this was and that they kind of need to get a little deeper. So then they had asked them, they wanted them to take a look and remember a time that they did play with their child and try to reflect on what that interaction had on both them as a parent and for their interaction between them and a child. And it really caused the parents to kind of go, and realize that during those times, their children were showing more affection towards them. They were gaining an understanding of their child on a different level and were actually able to use play at that time to keep from behaviors escalating, and that they were having a deeper connection, realizing that their child wanted to do something other than just ask them questions and get something from them. And that they viewed play as a very valuable thing and creating good memories and knowing that it made their children very happy. And so throughout this interview process, these parents were able to understand that no matter what our environments are, play doesn't need material things. Play is as simple as playing pretend with your child on the floor. And so for me, it answered my question from before is, does that poverty interfere with parents and their children of play? And the answer is no, because the wonderful thing about play is that you just need an imagination. So within those results, I was kind of happy to see that it doesn't matter on the environment. I was sad to see that so many parents still need to be educated on the importance of play. So why I chose play and why play is important, because I love Albert Einstein. He gives the perfect answer to that in his quote of play is the highest form of research, not just for our kids, but for adults too. When we take the time to step back and turn off the electronics and just enjoy what's around us and laugh, we pay so much more attention to the detail and we're able to explore things around us. And that's what children do. They are able to explore their environment and learn from it because it's what they're loving, and what's in front of them is what they're getting dirty and messy with. And as I grow in my master's program to become a child life specialist, I cannot wait to gain more experience and knowledge and hope to find more research on the importance of play, which is why I wanted to provide a link on the bottom of here. For those of you that might not heard of child life specialist, please do yourself the favor and look this link up and educate yourselves, because I promise you it will change your world if you have children or if you know someone that does. Whenever you go to a hospital and these children need anything from a simple well check to a shot, involving child life will change their experience. And they're also now becoming so trendy in the community around us and offer so much more. So please do yourself the favor and find out why play is in my heart and soul through child life. And I cannot wait to someday be a child life specialist. I love this opportunity. I hope you're able to gain something from it. And I hope tonight, if you have kiddos, that you go play with them. Thank you, guys.